Hello everyone. Welcome to the lecture of Human Resource Management from Unit 4. The topic which I am going to cover in this lecture are components of wage and salary administration, objectives and principles of wage and salary administration. The most important factors which affect the individual differences in wage rate are workers' capacity and age, educational qualification, workers' experience, hazards involved in the work, promotion possibilities, prevailing wage in the community, stability of employment, demand for the product, and profits or surplus earned by the organization. Components of wage and salary administrations are dearness allowance, incentive, bonus, and fringe benefits. Pay structure in India is based on basic pay plus dearness allowance plus HRA and overtime. So these are the components of wage structure, wherein basic pay, bonus, dearness allowance, fringe benefits, and overtime time allowance constitute the pay of any individual in the organization. Let us understand what is basic pay. The components of basic pay is contained in the report of the Fair Wages Committee. According to the committee, the floor of the basic pay is the minimum wages, which provides not merely for the bare sustenance of life, but for the preservation of the efficiency of the workers by providing some measures of education, medical requirements, and amenities. The basic pay has been more stable and fixed as compared to dearness allowance and annual bonus, which usually changes with movement in the cost of living indices and the performance of the industry. Dearness allowance. Dearness allowance is the cost of living adjustment. Allowances paid to the government employees and the pensioners. It is one of the components of salary and it is counted as a fixed percentage of a person's basic salary. It is adjusted according to the inflationary trends to lessen the impact of inflation on the government employees. In India, the system of dearness allowance is a special feature of the wage system for adjustment of the wages when there are frequent fluctuations in the cost of living. The Consumer Price Index is a monthly index published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Consumer Price Index is compiled by the price data collected throughout the country for a fixed set of goods such as food, clothing, shelter, fuels, prescriptions, transportation, fares, and medical fees. The CPI is important as a predictor of wage increase of the employees' need for greater income. Dearness allowance as a separate component. The Second World War repeated the same economic inflation. Again, the demand for increased dearness allowance was made by the industrial workers. It is to be noted that the main reason for keeping the dearness allowance as a separate component and not merging it in the wages was due to the fact that the employees always considered the dearness allowance increase as a temporary feature and expected such allowances to be adjusted downward if the cost of living restored. But their hope was never fulfilled and the dearness allowance continued to remain as a separate component which could be raised with the rise in the price index number. House rent allowance. House rent allowance is a paid by an employer to the employee to meet the expenditure actually incurred on the payment of rent in respect to residential accommodation occupied by the employee. Overtime payment. Working overtime in an industry is possibly as old as the Industrial Revolution. So necessity of the management seeking overtime working from employees become inevitable, mainly to overcome inappropriate allocation of manpower and improper scheduling, absenteeism, unforeseen situations created due to genuine difficulties like breakdown of machines. In many companies, overtime is necessary to meet the urgent delivery dates, sudden upswings in the production schedules, or to give management a degree of flexibility in matching the labor capacity to the production demands. The payment of overtime allowances to the factory and the workshop employees is guaranteed by law. All the employees who are deemed to be workers under the Factories Act or under the Minimum Wages Act are entitled to it at twice the ordinary rate of their wages for the work done in excess of 9 hours or any day for more than 48 hours in any week. The major benefits of overtime working to the workers is that it offers an increase in income from work. The Factories Act 1948, annual bonus. The bonus component of the industrial compensation system, through a quite old one, had assumed a statutory status only with the enactment of the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. The act is applicable to the factories and other establishments employing 20 or more employees. Eligibility. Every employee not drawing a salary or a wages beyond Rs 10,000 per month who has worked for not less than 30 days is an accounting year shall be eligible for the bonus for minimum of 8.33% of his salary or the wages, even if there is the loss in the establishment. Whereas a maximum of 20% of the employee's salary is payable as bonus in an accounting year. However, in case of the employees whose salary range between 3,500 to 10,000 per month for the purpose of payment of bonus, their salaries would deemed to be rupees 3,500. The Payment of Bonus Act 1965. Incentive system. So the term incentive has been used both in the restricted sense of participation of the widest sense of financial motivation. It is used to signify inducements offered to the employees to put forth their best in order to maximize production results. Incentives are classified as a financial and non-financial factors. Important financial incentives are attractive wages, bonuses, dearness allowance, traveling allowance, house allowance, gratuity pension, and provident fund contributions. Some of the non-financial incentives are designation, nature of the job, working condition, status, privilege, job security, opportunity for advancement, and participation in decision making. Now let us understand what is fringe benefits. So the remuneration that the employees receive for their contribution cannot be measured by the mere estimation of wages and salary paid to them. Certain supplementary benefits and services known as fringe benefits are also available to them. The characteristics of the fringe benefits are: these benefits are distinctly additional to the regular wages paid to the workers. As such, they are not provided as a suitable substitute for wages or salaries of the employees. These benefits are meant primarily to be advantage to the employees. The advantages occur to the employees through the provisions of fringe benefits are as such that they cannot be secured through their own individual efforts. Now, these are the components of wage mix, wherein compensation policy of the organization plays an important role to fix the wage of their organization. Worth of the job, employees' relative worth, employers' ability to pay, legal requirements, collective bargaining, cost of living, area of wage rates, and conditions for the labor market. These all together contribute to the culminating the wage of any individual in the organization. Only those benefits falls within the purview of fringe benefits which are or can be expressed in cash terms. The scope of fringe benefits is different from that of a welfare services. Fringe benefits are provided by the employers alone, whereas the welfare schemes may be provided by other agencies as well. Benefits that have no relation to the employment should not be regarded as fringe benefits. Wages and salary administration. Wages and salary administration affects the level of employees' commitment to the organization. However, fascinating the individual's job assignment is the employees must be paid. Pay affect the way people work, how much and how well. A large part of the compensation that a people receive from the work is monetary. Although managers are expected to conserve money and distribute it wisely, many employees feel that they should get more of it for what they do. Wages and salaries may, in many employees, benefits and services are form of compensation. Administration of the employee compensation is called wage and salary administration. According to D.S. Beach, wage and salary administration refers to the establishment and implementation of sound policies and practices employee compensation. It includes such as areas as job evaluation, surveys of wages and salary, analysis of relevant organizational problems, development and maintenance of wage structure. Establishing rules of administrating wages, wage payment, incentives, profit sharing, wage changes and adjustment supplementary payments, control of compensation costs and other related items. The Wage and Salary Administration aims to establish and maintain the equitable wages and salary structure and equitable labor cost structure. Objectives of Wage and Salary Administration. So let us understand what are the basic objectives of wage and salary administration. To establish a fair and equitable compensation offering similar pay for a similar work. To attract the competent and qualified personnel. To retain the present employees by keeping wage level in tune with the competitive units. To keep the labor and administrative cost in line with the ability of the organization to pay. To improve motivation and morale of the employee and to improve the union management relations. To protect a good image of the company and to comply with legal needs relating to wages and salaries. To establish job sequences and line of promotions wherever applicable. To minimize the chances of favoritism while assigning the wage rates. Principles of wage and salary administration. So wage policy should be developed keeping in view the interest of the concerned parties, for example, employer, employees, the consumers and the society. Wage and salary plans should be sufficiently flexible or responsive to changes in internal and external conditions of the organization. Effort should be made to ensure that differences in the pay for jobs are based on variations in the job requirements such as skills, responsibility, efforts, and mental physical requirements. Wage and salary administration plans must always be consistent with overall organizational plans and programs. Wage and salary administration plans must always be in conformity with the society economic objectives of the country like attainment of equality in income distribution and controlling inflation, etc. These plans and programs should be responsive to the changing local and national conditions. Wage and salary plans should expedite and simplify administrative processes. Workers should be associated as far as possible in the formulation and implementation of the wage policy. An adequate data base and a proper organizational setup should be developed for compensation, determination, and administration. The general level of wages and salary should be reasonably in line with that prevailing in the labor market. There should be a clearly established procedure for hearing and adjusting wages complaints. This may be integrated with the regular grievance procedure if it exists. The workers should receive a guaranteed minimum wages to protect them against the conditions beyond their control. Prompt and correct payments to the employees should be ensured and arrears of the payment should not accumulate. The wages and salary payment must fulfill a wide variety of human needs, including the needs of self actualization. Wage policy and programs should be reviewed and revised periodically in conformity with the changing needs. For revision of wages, a wage committee should also be preferred to the individual judgment, however unbiased, of a manager. Now let us understand what are the basic principles of wage and salary administration. So external equity. This principle acknowledges the factors, variables external to the organization influences the level of compensation in an organization. These variables are much as a demand of supply and labor market rate. If these variables are not kept into consideration while fixing a wage and salary levels, these may be insufficient to attract and retain the employee in the organization. Internal equity. Organizations have a various jobs which are relatively in value terms. In other words, the values of various jobs in an organization are comparative within your own department. Pay level of the teachers, professors, readers, and lecturers are different as per the perceived or a real differences between the value of the job they perform. Individual worth. According to this principle, an individual should be paid as per his/her performances. Thus, the compensation system, as far as possible, enables the individual to be rewarded according to his contribution to the organization. There is no single uniform minimum wages rate across the country. The highest minimum wage rate as updated in the year 2012 is rupees 322 per day in Andaman and Nicobar, and the lowest is rupees 38 per day in Tripura. With this we end this lecture. Thank you and have a nice time.